They told me to get checked years ago. Said it was a simple test. Quick. Routine. Nothing to worry about. I laughed and said, I'm fine. Men like me don't need that. I wish I could tell you that was bravado, that I was trying to look tough. But it wasn't. It was fear. Plain, quiet, childish fear. The kind you bury so deep you start calling it pride. My name doesn't matter anymore. The doctors call me Mr. T. I like that simple. Impersonal. Easier that way. Because when they say Mr. T, it's terminal. It doesn't sound like it's happening to me. It sounds like a headline I'm reading about someone else. It's funny, the word prostate used to make me uncomfortable. I'd hear it in commercials, on the radio, and I'd turn the volume down. I didn't want to think about that part of my body. That's what shame does. It makes you treat your own anatomy like a stranger. Every time my wife, Linda, mentioned I should get tested, I'd wave it off. Don't start. I'd say, I don't need that kind of talk at dinner. She'd see. Not because she was angry, but because she already knew the truth. Men like me don't listen until the pain starts shouting. The first sign was small, a dull ache, a bit of trouble in the bathroom. I told myself it was age. Everything hurts after 60. Right. I didn't tell Linda. I didn't tell anyone. When the pain worsened, I still said nothing. There's a strange pride in pretending your body isn't failing. I worked my whole life fixing engines, carburetors, pistons, machines that screamed when something was wrong. My body whispered, and I ignored it. Machines you can repair. Flesh, you can't. By the time I went to the doctor, it was too late. The scans showed what I already knew but refused to admit. Aggressive, they said. It spread. They used words like metastatic and incurable. But all I heard was the quiet apology in the doctor's voice, that practiced tone they use for men who waited too long. He asked if I wanted to call someone. I said no. I went home and sat in my garage, surrounded by tools, the smell of oil and metal thick in the air, and I felt like a ghost haunting my own life. The workbench was covered in half-finished projects, things I thought I'd get to when I had more time. Time, it turns out, is only generous to the disciplined. I didn't tell my kids right away. I told them I was just feeling off. That's another thing men like me do minimize. We think shrinking the words makes the problem smaller. But cancer doesn't care what you call it. It grows in silence, the same way denial does. When I finally told them, my daughter cried, and my son looked at me like I'd betrayed him. Maybe I had, not because I was sick, but because I let pride take me from them too early. He said, Dad, you could have caught it. I said, I know. What else was there to say? People talk about fear like it's a sharp thing, but it's not. It's dull. It lingers. It hums quietly beneath everything you do. I wasn't afraid of dying, not really. I was afraid of the humiliation of being weak. I was afraid of hospitals, of gowns that don't cover your back, of strangers seeing you helpless. I thought keeping quiet made me strong, but silence doesn't make you strong. It just isolates you. So you can die alone. Linda handled it better than I did. She always was the steady one. She said, We'll get through it. I nodded, but I could see in her eyes that she already knew what I wouldn't admit. She started cooking healthier meals, setting reminders for my medication, pretending everything was normal. We danced around the truth like it was furniture in a dark room, bumping into it but never turning on the light. When the treatments began, the sickness came fast. Hair gone, appetite gone. Nights spent watching the ceiling while Linda slept beside me, pretending she wasn't listening to my breathing. There's something cruel about how the body deteriorates before the mind does. You stay lucid just long enough to witness your own undoing. During one of my appointments, the doctor asked if I regretted anything. I laughed that dry kind of laugh you give when you're trying to keep your dignity. Regrets for the living. I said. He smiled sadly and said, "You're still living." I didn't answer because I wasn't sure I was. I was existing attached to tubes, calendars, and the quiet routine of waiting. The worst part isn't the pain. It's the waiting. The endless middle ground between knowing and disappearing. You learn to measure time in pill bottles and hospital meals. Linda would sit beside me, reading magazines, humming sometimes. When she left to get coffee, I'd stare at her empty chair and realize how much space love can fill even in silence. I used to think love was big, gestures, anniversaries, trips, surprises. Now I know it's small things. The way she folds the blanket around my feet, the way she doesn't flinch when she sees the scars, the way she still says "we" when the doctors talk about me. Love is the quiet endurance of ordinary care. It's what remains when everything else starts to fade. My son visits now more than he used to. He brings his kids, and I try to stay awake long enough to see them smile. He doesn't say much, but I can feel the unspoken forgiveness between us. It sits heavy in the air, warm and fragile. He helps me fix small things around the house, loose screws, wobbly shelves, as if patching up my surroundings might somehow fix me too. We don't talk about the illness. We talk about cars, sports, weather. Men find safety in small talk because real talk requires courage. We were never taught. I wish I'd been braver with him. I wish I'd told him that fear is not weakness, that going to the doctor is not surrender. But all he saw growing up was a man who ignored pain until it rotted into pride. If you're hearing this, and you're one of those men, the kind who shrugs off symptoms, who says, "I'll go next month," who thinks vulnerability is something to be ashamed of, listen to me. I'm not telling you to be brave. I'm telling you to be smart. Pride doesn't die with you. It stays behind and ruins everyone who loved you. The test they asked me to take takes 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That's all it would have taken to buy myself another decade. But I was too proud, too embarrassed to talk about a part of my body that no one else could see. That's the kind of foolishness that kills quietly and quickly. The nurses tell me I have a few months left. I don't mark the calendar anymore. Each day is a small, delicate gift wrapped in pain and clarity. I've learned that dying teaches you to see things living never does. The beauty in breath, the holiness of sunlight through a curtain, the miracle of someone's hand on yours. I used to think strength was keeping it together. Now I know it's letting yourself fall apart in front of people who will catch you anyway. Linda says she forgives me. I believe her, but I still carry the weight of what I didn't do. If I had gone sooner, maybe we'd still be talking about vacations instead of medications. Maybe we'd still be planting gardens, not funerals. Regret doesn't vanish just because you accept it. It lingers like an old injury that flares up when the weather turns cold. But maybe that's the point, to feel the ache and remember the lesson. So here's mine. Don't wait. Don't let fear and pride make your decisions. Don't assume tomorrow owes you anything. Go to the doctor. Get the checkup. Have the awkward conversation. Because embarrassment fades. Regret doesn't. You'll forget the test in a week. But your family will remember your absence for a lifetime. As I lie here now, the room hums with machines. A faint rhythm that reminds me of the engines I used to fix. It's strange even at the end. I find comfort in that sound. Maybe because it feels familiar. Maybe because it reminds me that everything mechanical, like everything human, runs better when you listen for the warning signs. That's all I had to do. Listen. To my body. To my wife. To the silence between us. If you're listening now, don't let my story become yours. Go. Get checked. Speak. Live. Because dying doesn't start when the doctor says, terminal. It starts the moment you stop paying attention to yourself.